Hello strangers and friends, my name is Grace and welcome to episode 14 of Sometimes I Make Things. It is lovely to be back here with you all again. This is my first really just creative update vlog of the year. My last two videos were everything that I made in 2022, which was a lot of fun to make. And then my second video was about my knitting plans for the year. What do I have in stash and what am I planning to make from it in 2023? So this is just a bit of an update because I haven't really talked much about what I've been working on since I guess whatever video I had out in probably November or so. And yeah, I've been knitting away. I've been plenty busy with school and other activities, but I'm feeling pretty good about what I've achieved so far this year, and I'm looking forward to sharing it all with you. So, updates wise, what have I been up to lately? School's been going well. We're just over halfway through the semester now, and I'm really looking forward to the summer coming, getting a job and getting some experience in the field of study that I'm in, and moving on to the second semester of my college program at the end of this year. But so far so good as far as college is going. Today is March 20th, so it's the first day of spring. I have dressed for the occasion. I hope you appreciate. And yeah, it's pretty snowy here. I do live in southern Ontario in Canada, so we've got snow even this past weekend, but every little bit of melting counts. So it kind of is averaging around -2, -3 still. Sometimes we get a high of 6, but it's gonna be a hot minute before we get any flowers here, but I'm looking forward to that a lot. I guess quick disclaimer, where I am located today, you might see the bird feeder over my shoulder here. Sometimes squirrels decide to do some acrobatics to get to that feeder, so I apologize in advance if there's any chaos behind me. Previous videos we have had squirrel-based interruptions because of nonsense going on out there, so they attempt at their own risk. They know the deal with that bird feeder. We have not had any squirrel injuries. There's a large pile of snow underneath this feeder, so if any squirrels do fall, they have a soft landing. Also, they're very light animals, so they tend to not injure themselves too much. They're only so hard they can fall. But they do have a safety net landing. It's just, if they fall, that's a little moment for them, and if they learn from it, they learn from it, and if they don't, they don't. I think that's really all the housekeeping that I had to do. Let's get into talking about what I've been making recently. In the last video where I was talking about my stash plans, I showed some of my works in progress, and I have since finished them, so that's lovely. We'll start off with the Granny's Attic socks, which are very fitting for spring. These are going to be a fun thing to flounce around in the coming days. But this pattern, if you've watched some of my other content, was the first test knit that I ever did. So I knit one of the socks and gave my feedback, and that was a pretty positive experience. I've done more test knitting since. This has been a nice kind of intro to that sphere of the knitting world. I did end up going back and changing the toe shaping. I decided to go for more of an anatomical toe design because I want to figure out what's the perfect sock pattern for me. Oh, we got Milo joining us. Hello, Milo. So I'm not sure how clear it'll be, but basically one side is significantly more sloped than the other, and that's just meant to accommodate my big toe better. So I haven't worn these a ton yet, just because I'm still trying to figure out how to style these. I wear a lot of my Blundstones, basically exclusively are my outdoor footwear, and these do not fit in the Blundstones without having frills boiling at the top, which is not the desired effect. But as far as just wearing around the house, these are cute, they're fun, and the main yarn that I used is Sweet Georgia Fibers, which is a very soft, like sturdy yarn. They're good quality socks, so I think I'll be getting more wear of these with the spring coming in. I'm still a little unsure if I might end up pulling the ruffles out just so that they become more staple pieces, but for now I'm really proud of my floofy little mohair frills. So yeah, that's a work in progress from last year that I finally finished the second sock, and it's nice to have a finished pair. Next up, I did not have much of this hat done in my last video, but now it is completely finished, complete with a lovely pom-pom. This pom-pom is made out of recycled faux fur from, I believe, a jacket. The company that I got it from is Poppy's Pom Pom, and they'll buy like Value Village thrift store fur pieces and cut them up and recycle them into pom-poms. And this yarn is Feisty Fibers, the colorway Spite, and the pattern itself is the 1898 hat by Christine Brins. I'll put the info down here. This hat is lovely because it has the ear flap feature, which keeps my head nice and cozy warm during the cold breezes of the Canadian winter. It also has the folded garter brim, so it's very squishy and thick here. So it's a great winter hat, and I've been wearing it a lot because it done been cold lately. So it's really become a staple in my winter wardrobe, which has been lovely. So I've wanted to make this hat since 2021 when I made one for my dad for Christmas. And this yarn, I used Cascade 220 for the last one. I'll throw a picture in. And this yarn is a little bit thinner. I find indie dyed worsted weight yarn tends to be thinner than commercial worsted yarn. So I did end up knitting this at a tighter gauge than recommended by the pattern, and I compensated for that by adding a few additional rows. So it really was a gamble whether or not this would fit my head or it would be weirdly small, but I used the power of blocking and some basic guesstimating mathematics, and it's worked out wonderfully. So the tighter gauge makes more sense for this yarn, keeps it warm, cozy, it has good structure, and just all around phenomenal hat. I think the thing with this hat is that it doesn't necessarily suit everyone's head shape or face. My boyfriend tried it on and he looked very goofy in it, and he's a very handsome man, but you know, not all clothing works for all people. He looked like he was wearing a swimming cap, or he was about to be like in a rugby match or a pilot or something from the 1940s, but it just tucked right in around his ears. So I think this is a fun gift hat, but you kind of have to get an idea of the vibe of the person that you're making it for, and also for yourself. The ear flaps are a little dorky, I'll just say it out front, but it's such a wonderful hat. I love it so much, and I think I'll be making more of these in the future, if not for other people, then for myself, because this is probably my favorite hat pattern ever. All right, gushing about the hat aside, moving on. Now this is, like, I'm so excited about having this done. This is my first ever shawl that I ever knit, and there's gonna be more shawls in my future. But this is the finished Boyagi shawl by Knit Boop. Yura. I don't know her last name, but Knit Boop is her handle online. And yeah, this is the Boyagi shawl. This is made out of Sweet Georgia fibers again. It was stuff that I got for my birthday in I think 2021, and a little bit of knitting for olive merino. I selected this colorway because I thought it would just work perfectly with the pops of darker red in the fauna colorway here. Boyfriend affectionately refers to this as my pizza shawl because he thinks it looks like cheese and pizza sauce. But I am just so delighted by this. I've never been much of a scarf person or shawl person. I've tried in the past, but I'm never really sure if they like worked for me. Hey buddy. Do you like the shawl? I think you look handsome in it. Suits you. There, beautiful. But having made it, it just makes me so happy to wear this shawl. I'm still trying to figure out what's the best way to style it, what clothing looks good with it, how do I want it to drape around my neck and such. But it's just, it feels so nice, and it was so satisfying to knit something just for the joy of knitting fabric that's beautiful. So I already have a couple ideas turning in my head about future shawls. I'm not committed to anything yet because, again, I'm so new to the type of garment that I don't really know much about the process yet. So stay tuned on that, but for real, if you have any shawl recommendations just in general, if you've knit a shawl that you've enjoyed the process of making, please tell me about it in the comments so I can scope things out. I think I'm gonna try going for a Stephen West shawl. I want something with like multiple colors. I think I want to throw some baubles in there. The texture is fun. So we'll see, but I just think that it's such a great way to play with technique. Like this is a mixture of lace and cabling here to make the beautiful bow motif. And it was annoying to knit, mostly because it was outside of my comfort zone with knitting, but I felt so proud of myself for finishing that section. The mosaic was very fun, and the garter, everyone's gotta love just a simple garter section, right? So all around 10 out of 10, free pattern. It took 150 grams of yarn, so I used the whole 50-gram skein of Knitting for Olive, and I used the whole, I guess, 115-gram skein of Sweet Georgia. I could have made the dark section here was supposed to be longer. I don't think it matters. And I'm not sure if I got to the full length, like width-wise, that I was supposed to. I just knit until I didn't have any yarn left. So as far as even like if you were stash busting, I think it has potential if you had like half a skein and another full skein that you wanted to pair it with, but it's worth buying yarn for this. It's great. Yes, this is perfect. I'm ready to live my hat and shawl era is coming. I'm gonna become a hat girl, guaranteed. And yeah, I think fall 2023, I'm gonna be garnished a lot with shawls, we'll see. But yeah, those are my finished objects. I did also knit a hat as a gift for a family friend whose birthday was in January, and I've knit the hat before. It was a cabled hat. I'll throw some photos in. I believe it's called the Traveling Cables Hat by Yarn Junkie, or Statement Junkie. And yeah, it knits up relatively quickly. You use a very thick yarn, and I think it gives a great effect. Would look lovely with a pom-pom. But I wasn't sure if the recipient liked pom-pom, so I held off. But yeah, I think that's a good go-to gift hat. She's chic. So that's everything I finished so far. My plan for January, oh sorry buddy. My plan for January was to finish up my works in progress, and I've pulled that off. I do have a few things that are kicking around, some like ancient whips, but I'm gonna get to those slowly. But I achieved what I wanted to do there. It did take me into February to finish my works in progress, but done is done. It's fine. Moving on. We're gonna talk about what I'm currently working on right now. We have some new and exciting pieces to share, so let's get into it. First up is a familiar face if you have watched some of my other videos, and I finished my lemon drop sock. I think I cast this on in April of 2022. It might have been March. So we finished one sock. A win is a win. This has a lovely little cable detail just for some interest, as well as to give a little more stretch. It's a 72 stitch, otherwise vanilla pattern with my go-to slip stitch heel flap and gusset. The toes I went a little bit rogue on because I wanted to end on a proper cable, so I ended up having like a shorter area to get my toe done, so it's a little stumpy, but it fits good. I think instead of going to 12 stitches at the end, I had 18, so like 36. It's fine. Blunt toe works. So I might end up going back and ripping it out if I decide it annoys me, but it appears to fit well so far, what I have. And my new cast on part, having finished that in January, is I started the second sock. So I don't know if I'm gonna have this sock done by the time it reaches its first birthday. A little bit embarrassing, but I might, we'll see. This is just my my long journey sock. It's one that I'm taking a very long time to knit. I kind of had a sock hiatus last year. Like I knit the one test knit sock for the Granny's Attic sock, and I had knit a heel tab shorty because I love those, and shorty socks are easy. But those are the only socks I pulled off knitting last year. So I'm hoping to get more into the sock groove this year, because as far as the amount of times I use knitted objects, the socks are my shining stars. I wear my knitted socks quite a lot, and I would like to one day have a full sock drawer. Like I don't want any commercial socks, except there's some scenarios where a commercial sock makes sense. But mainly I want to have just hand knit socks because they're just better. They feel better. They stay less stinky. They're satisfying to wear. I'm being very eloquent about why I love socks, but knitted socks are always a smash, and I'm hoping to get this one done as soon as possible. I think this is a phenomenal colorway. $10 ball of sock yarn, 10 out of 10 socks. It's just slowly walking through this one, but I am excited about them for when they are done, because I will wear these a lot whenever they get done. My first new cast on of the year, not whip related at all, is something that I have had as a mental work in progress for years, and it is the honeycomb Aran. My very first video on this channel, I showed off this yarn, which is Fisherman's Wool by Lion Brand, that I got at a discount at like a liquidation type store, and I wanted to make a classic cabled sweater from it for so long. So I am very happy to finally have picked the right pattern for me. The honeycomb Aran is a free pattern by Payton's, and it is size inclusive. Payton's does have nightmare pattern writing. I basically had to butcher apart the pattern and then rewrite it just so I could understand it, because reading it directly from the pattern page is a hellscape. Don't do it to yourself unless you're like emotionally prepared to handle it. That's all I'll say about the pattern so far. It's a lot, but I am thrilled with this sleeve so far. I hope it's showing on camera there. I finished all the increases for the sleeve. I just need to knit straight for a little bit, and then you do the raglan shaping into the sleeve, and then I'll knit the other sleeve, and then you knit the back and the front, and again, the raglan shaping is fitted into the panels, and then seaming it all together. So I'm hoping, because of the raglan design, it's going to fit nicely and not have that weird armpit bunching that can happen with a drop shoulder design. And my goal with this is, obviously it's classic, so I wanted it for that reason, but I've never made a fully seamed sweater, and a lot of people don't like seamed projects. They want seamless, but I figured I can't really comment on whether or not I prefer one or the other unless I try it. So this is my how do I feel about seamed sweater project. Also, it's the first time I'm doing a full cabled project, so I'm learning a lot on this. I want to eventually get to the point where I'm able to do the cabling without a cable needle. It's just my brain doesn't really understand that very well, and I kind of like using the cable needle. I find it fun and engaging, but I do want to learn the skill, so that's something else I'm going to be training myself on this one with. Anything else I want to share about this bad boy? This is going to kind of be my year-long project. I don't have a due date really set on this. I would like to have it done by Christmas this year. I think it would be a lovely Christmas sweater, but cable sweaters take some time, and I'm aware of that going into it, so I'm not going to set an unrealistic deadline, but my plan is just to work on this throughout the entire year, and I just want to have as few mistakes as possible in it, and I want it to fit well, which of course. But yeah, this is my baby for this year. It's definitely wool-wise, it's a kind of more scratchy rustic yarn, but that's what I want from this kind of sweater. I really want it to be kind of that heirloom quality, will last a lifetime as long as I don't wash it in hot water and it felts kind of project. But I'm so in love with it. Every time, sometimes when I'm knitting it, I'll just put it down for a period of time and just like look at it and smile like it's my child. Like, I love you. So prepare to see a lot of this one throughout the year as I slowly inch my way through it. But yeah, it's been very gratifying so far. The final work in progress that I'm going to show you is the one that's been taking up all of my time so far. So I haven't touched any of my other whips or other projects really at all since I started this one, because it's a test knit and I really want to make sure that I get it done within the deadline and that I have the time to give the feedback and such. So I'm not letting anything distract me from this whip. This is a test knit for Jessie May, who I have knit a lot of her patterns and I really like what she is offering. This is the Helix halter test knit. So it is this halter design with a lace detailing. There will eventually be ribbing along the arm line here. Armhole. So that's something I'm gonna have to continue. I'm planning on making this like a long crop or full length, I'm not sure, but I don't want it to be a hyper cropped one. I want it to tuck into pants and such. And then there'll just be some ribbing on the end. This design is designed to have a sleeved option, but just knowing my personal preference for how I like to wear summer tops, I'm not as into having a long sleeve with the cold shoulder and the halter. I might make it at some point in a more wintry yarn. Like I think that could be a nice wool project. But as far as summer, I get really hot in the summer and it's like I want the least amount of things touching me as possible. So I'm not going to do the sleeves on this one, but do want you to be aware that there is a sleeve option and it is gorgeous. It is beautiful, very elegant. But for me, we're going sleeveless. So this yarn is Knitting for Olive. It is the cotton merino, which I believe is a 70 cotton 30 wool blend. It is the colorway Terracotta Rose, which my lovely friend Kristen helped me pick out. I called her on the phone and I made her go on the internet and look at all the color options. And I was like, you're good at color theory. Tell me which color to get. So we both agreed that this was a lovely one. I do have a few photos of me doing a fit check, and it does fit me quite nicely. I'm actually surprised how well it fit me because I am knitting the 44-inch bust size, which my full bust is 48 inches. The pattern recommended picking an upper bust measurement to go off of, so that would give me 4 inches of negative ease. Also, my gauge was a little bit tighter than the pattern recommended, but I felt good about it. Like it does stretch to gauge, is what she asked for, but it is pretty, like on the smaller end of the gauge swatch. But it's fitting great. It might just be that I'm more of a loose knitter, so it worked out that way. But this fabric is very delicate, it's soft. I feel like the definition of the lace is very nice, and it's pleasant against the skin. Like this is gonna be lovely to wear in the summertime. So I'm not a very fast knitter when it comes to lace. Every 2 rows takes me about 15 minutes. So each lace hole represents about 15 minutes of my life. I think I'm approaching the like 6-hour mark on this one, which being in school, I've had limited amount of time to work on it. But I'm doing what I can and I know I'm gonna make it to the deadline. I am very comfortable and confident with that, but I know I'm only gonna get to the deadline if I only work on this and don't touch anything else. That's kind of my bargain I've made with myself. So this one I think is going to be a lot of payoff as far as satisfaction with it when it's done. I haven't run into any issues so far in the test knit. There have been a few minor updates, but Jessie May's patterns are written very clearly. She's someone who puts a lot of effort into making a very polished, finished product. So it's been pleasant to test knit because I haven't had any issues. I've just been happily knitting along and everything's been going smoothly and the design fits me. So no complaints on my end. So hopefully by the time I make my next video update, I can be wearing this and showing off some styling options, but this is gonna be a good one. It's really inspired me. I think I'm gonna be doing a lot of summer knits this year because I've just enjoyed this yarn so much and it's been such a fun knit, and it's so different from sweaters, which I normally knit sweaters and I do sweaters a lot. So I just have so many ideas about summer knits, and I have a good amount of summer yarn stashed up. So I was originally planning to do some more wintry knits while we're moving into the summer period, starting spring now. But I think I'm just immediately jumping feet first into summer knitting. So expect to see a lot more fun, cute tops coming your way on this channel. So that's everything kind of knitting related that I have going on in my life currently. I have been, of course, I love knitting clearly, but I have kind of been thinking a lot more about other crafts lately, and I've been thinking about picking up crochet again. I kind of miss making little amigurumis, little stuffies, as well as there's some really cute bra top, halter top, just summer top in general style crochet patterns. And yeah, I haven't crocheted in a while, so I've been thinking the ideation is there to start picking up crochet again. As well as I want to do some needle related crafts. So embroidery is something I've been interested for quite a while, but quite recently I stumbled across a cross-stitch designer whose name I will put down here, and I love his work. I thought it was just so cute and charming, and normally I'm not very interested in the style of cross-stitch, but the pixel art kind of style of his pieces I was really drawn to, and a lot of them are animals and they're just so cute. So I've decided I'm gonna do a little animal cross stitch. I'm not gonna go into which one I'm gonna be doing or what my plan is, because currently it's on the realm of being a gift. So I don't want to spoil that in any way, but I will quickly show you that I did do a little bit of shopping. I was mostly shopping from Stash, because who doesn't have just a random pile of embroidery floss in a plastic bag hidden in a closet somewhere in their home? So I had a lot of colors all ready to go, and then I did pick up a few new ones from a local yarn store, as well as getting some Aida cloth, and I already have some hoops, so I'm pretty much set. I also already have needles because pandemic, I'm pretty sure I had picked up stuff to try embroidery, and then I literally never did a single stitch. So that's kind of next on the horizon. So once I finish the halter top, my next plan is to try a little bit of cross stitch. So fingers crossed on that front. It's completely new to me. I think when I was like a small child, there was like kids cross stitch that you could pick out from craft stores, and I never finished one of those, but like that's it. Like it's ancient knowledge in my brain. So I'm looking forward to doing a deep dive into some YouTube videos about best cross-stitching skills and just trying something new to me, and hopefully it goes well, because if I pull it off, I think it'll be a very sweet gift. So that's something on the horizon for me there. The other thing that I wanted to mention is something that I had as a goal, especially in my Stash video, is that I wanted it from Stash this year, and I wanted to not purchase any yarn if possible throughout the year, and if I didn't purchase yarn for a month, then I could treat myself to a pattern. So I definitely have been buying yarn, but I've noticed, especially since redecorating my yarn shelf to have everything that I want to knit inside of my bed and I'm looking at it constantly, significantly less urges to buy yarn impulsively, because I'm just constantly thinking now about all these projects that I want to make and I can make, I just need the time for it, that buying more yarn that I'm not going to have time to work on for quite a while is losing its appeal. So that's actually been a nice like psychology moment for me to do that. So I'd recommend, if you have a shelf that is visible that you could possibly put some yarn on to remind you what's coming up next, it's done wonders for me as far as controlling my spending, because sometimes you just want to spend money on yarn, but I haven't needed to, so that's been nice. However, I have bought a few pieces, so I figured I would show those off now and do a small haul, but kind of give you an idea of what I have been called to buy, especially with trying to be in a no-buy mindset. Of course, I have a very crinkly bag to do this part in. So, in January, I went to the Knitting Loft and I did pick up a skein of yarn from my mom, which doesn't count because I was buying it for someone else who asked for it. But I did pick up these two mini skeins because anytime I go to the Knitting Loft, I like to get some of their exclusive minis. They dye this yarn themselves. It is the company branded yarn. So this lovely yellow is Melted Butter, and this blue is Blue Water Beach. So that's just something specific to me. Anytime I go to the Knitting Loft, I want to get one of their minis. I'm planning on making a cute pair of socks out of these. I'm probably going to have a third color thrown in there from my stash, maybe a green. I think I need more wool than this to knit a pair of socks, but they're just, these are purely for joy, purely for pleasure, the little Knitting Loft darlings. Ooh. Also from the Knitting Loft, I got this skein of Lang Yarns Neon. It was on sale for $6, normal retail price is $15. I've been eyeing this yarn for a while, and as I mentioned before, I had to order yarn for the test knit, the halter top, the terracotta rose knitting for olive yarn. So when I ordered that from the Knitting Loft, I did also pick up this skein. So I figured it's on sale and I've been wanting it for a while. It's a good time to pick it up. Additionally, this yarn goes very well with a pom-pom that I had impulsively purchased a little while ago. And it wasn't the right shade of yellow. I was expecting it to be more of a neon yellow, and this is more of like a duck daffodil yellow, I guess. So the plan that I had for it would not work because it just didn't match the yarn that I had in mind. But it does match this, I think, in a pleasant way. The yellows are not a perfect match, but with enough of that pink in there, I think it works. So I'm planning on making a fun cabled kind of chunky hat with this, just for a little pop of sunshine in the dreary. It might be too warm as a spring hat, we'll see, but that's the plan. So this will just be like kind of a palette cleanser project, just for something joyful and fun. Also from the Knitting Loft, I bought one skein of Love Tanned, which is by Camarose. I already had 4 skeins of this. I'm planning to make a lupini top out of it, but I was just really waffling on whether or not 4 skeins was enough yarn, and it was making me feel just a little nervous. So I figured I would just buy one more skein that I knew would be in the same color lot, so that if I wanted to make the top as big or as long as I wanted, I would have the room to do that. So if I don't end up using this, then I guess maybe that was a waste of money, but it's a pleasant yarn. So we'll see how that goes. But that just made me feel a little bit more comfortable about that project. So that's why I bought this piece here. Knitting for Olive Ball, mentioned that one already. For the test knit, was a splurge, yes. But having tried this yarn, I'm very content with it, and if I do have any left over, I'm confident that I'll be able to find something to do with it. Same story as the other Camarose ball. This is Camarose Pima Bold, and I already had 3 skeins of this for a knit project. I want to make the diaphanous raglan summer version out of it. And again, I was just waffling on whether or not I had enough yarn, so I bought another skein. Again, I might not end up needing it, but it does make me feel more confident going into the project knowing that I have wiggle room. Making a total mess. And then finally, this is not actually yarn that I purchased, but yarn that I won. So I entered a Instagram giveaway from Area 51 Fibers. See from the label here, and I won it. So this is a 50-gram striped sock set that came with a 20-gram mini, and it is the, excuse me, Nutcracker colorway. So this was one of her Christmas colors for 2022, and I really like the idea of doing Advent striped socks around Christmas time. So I could have picked any of her legitimate like 400 colors that this dyer has. It is incredible. A lot of them are based on pop culture, TV shows, nostalgia. There's something for everyone in this shop. Honestly, Area 51 blew my mind a little bit. It was hard to pick a color. But I like the idea of doing Christmas Advent socks. I really liked this palette. It kind of looks a bit like a gnome in a way. Like you've got the pinky skin tone, the green, the red, the white. It's very classic Santa elfy vibes. So I'm planning on doing that as my holiday socks. And it came with this gray, but I think I'm going to go with a dark green instead as what is it called again? Contrast color? Contrast color. So yeah, I'm going to go full Christmas on these. But yeah, that was just delightful. I've won yarn a handful of times on Instagram. So I find it's a nice little thing. Yeah. Didn't have to buy yarn when you win yarn. So, as I was saying there, definitely have purchased yarn, but I was buying it with the mindset of making sure I have enough yarn for a project, or buying yarn for a test knit, as well as for a test knit that I was confident I would get a lot of wear out of. Lots of summer yarns, and then yeah, sure, impulse purchase getting the hat yarn, but it's one that I have eyed before, and it goes with the pom-pom that I already had in my stash, so it is helping me move through things. So I've been feeling pretty good about that. The minis, purely for pleasure, did not need to buy those, but they're adorable, they make me happy, and they knit into very, very comfy, cozy socks. So that's been nice. I have purchased one pattern based on my purchasing plan of not buying yarn, then I get to buy a pattern, and it worked out that way. I bought the Knitting for Olive top, sorry. That was one that I'm planning to make. I have yarn for it already. And additionally, the company Knitting for Olive was doing a fundraiser where one day all of their sales went towards the Red Cross, which was helping in Ukraine. I'm not sure exactly off the top of my head which country Knitting for Olive is in, but it is a European country. They're relatively close to Ukraine, and it's something that's affected them, and they really wanted to do their part in helping it. So they fundraised, I think it was over 100,000 euros on that day, which they donated to the Red Cross. So I was like, hey, I know I want to purchase this pattern anyway. I've done good on my yarn spending. I'm staying within my budgeted plan. And then purchasing this on this particular day would do some good in the world as well. So I went for that. So I am hoping to get to the olive top sooner than later. But yeah, that's kind of my stash pattern purchasing update for you. So that's everything new acquisition wise on the yarn front. I do have a few bonus pieces to show off. First, I picked up from Amazon, what can you do? This set of calabash pins, light bulb pins, whatever you want to call them, gourd pins. They are color coded, and there are 300 of them in this lovely little case. And I have used these a lot. They were about $12 or $13. And I have been mostly using them on my honeycomb Aran sweater, that's what it was. Because different color-coded stitch markers are great for indicating where I did an increase, where the charts start and end, and it's really kept me on track just using tons of these things to mark every little thing. So also, they're very light, so they work very well as stitch markers, progress keepers in general, and yeah, I think they're wonderful. I think these are kind of the ideal stitch markers. I love a funky fun stitch marker, especially for starting the beginning of round, but my brain loves color coding. So these are kind of just the main stitch markers I want to use. They fit any project because the bulbs are quite large. Like maybe if you got like an 8mm needle, that might be a problem, but I never knit on stuff like that long. So yeah, 10 out of 10 recommend these. I don't know what the listing is. I could probably find it, but just look up calabash pins and a multicolor set because they made my life so much better. The other thing that I want to show off is my cousin and I recently went to the Hamilton Fiber Forge, which was last weekend, the 12th, March 12th, I think it was, in Hamilton, Ontario, and I didn't end up buying any yarn, so I really did stick to my guns on the not buying yarn stash acquisition side of things, but I did pick up these lovely earrings that I have been wearing for the video. I'll throw a photo in to show them off. Just because I can't see myself the way I have my camera set up, I'm not sure how well it'll show on here, but they are these beautiful moon phase earrings. They are holographic and they are made out of laser cut acrylic. They're very light. I kind of forgot I was wearing them, to be perfectly honest. They're very easy wearing, and yeah, I love earrings. I do find that I have sensitive ears. They tend to react to things a lot, so we'll see how that goes. That's not going to be a fault of the creator. It's literally just my ears. I don't know what metals are best for my ears. Everyone's a little different. But as far as comfort and style, I love these. So Jen, the owner of Muster Pattern, who made these earrings, I had actually messaged her when she was talking about preparing for the show, and I was like, oh, got any of those earrings you're planning on bringing to the show? And she specifically brought some along for me because I'd messaged her about it. So that made me feel special. It's nice. That's why it's so wonderful shopping small businesses, because you can actually contact the maker and be a part of that process. So yeah, thank you, Jen, very much for the beautiful moon phase earrings. I love them. The other thing that I picked up there, it was actually a little gift, which was very sweet, from Handmade by Shauna. I'll put her Instagram handle down below. But I was wearing my Boyagi shawl at the show, and we had a little conversation about it, talked to her about the making, what was needed, and she said, you know, for your troubles, pick a stitch marker. She had like a little bulletin board of stitch markers available. So that was very nice. I got this cute little gummy bear friend. He stood out to me. He's very sweet. I believe he's made from a poured mold, and I think this is going to be great on some of my summer knits this year. So whatever I cast on next, this little gummy bear is going to be my friend for it. So that was just, again, a really nice, beautiful human connection to have a conversation with somebody and be out and about. And it was wonderful. It was very nice being able to go with my cousin, who took me to my very first fiber show. She took me to the Knitters Frolic in 2019 before the world ended, and that was a lot of fun. This show, it was great to just have company going down and having a chance to catch up with her. But also, it was pretty crowded at the Fiber Forge. It's a very successful show. They did a wonderful job marketing it. Stitch Noir, a pal of mine from our knitting group, she was involved in, she's one of the co-organizers. And it was just wonderful to see the hard work of the team paying off and so many people turning out and shopping, small businesses. That being said, it could be a little bit overwhelming being in a group. It's like the first fiber event of the year, so everybody's hyped about it. So having a buddy to kind of moor myself to was nice. Just, you know, you didn't feel like you got lost in the crowds. It was very warm in there. I will also say that it was definitely don't wear your knit sweaters to the show. Wear a cute little halter top that you knit. That's the vibe at the show. But yeah, there was great stuff there, and my cousin was able to pick up a few things, and there really was something for everyone. So I'm so excited for the fiber festival season to be gearing up. Again, I don't know if I'm going to spend a lot of money on yarn this year. I'm going to try to stick to that as much as possible, but just going out and seeing people and talking to people and being seen by people and being talked to is really nice. I also had brought my Feisty Fibers, the 1898 hat, and I got to show that to the owner of Feisty Fibers, which was sweet. She took some photos of my hat and we had a little chat. So yeah, just the human element part of knitting was just so nice. So yeah, I'm gonna be all over the knitting fiber world scene. Didn't take any photos, didn't take any videos. I was just fully engaged in being at the event, and it was wonderful. I believe that's everything that I have to share today, which is good because I actually really do need to head to class. I have to go commute to campus now. I have a math test to do. Hopefully that goes well. But yeah, I really want to take some time to film a video and do a little update. And yeah, things have been good, and I am looking forward to the spring and all the things that I'm gonna make, and I'm gonna try new stuff, and I think 2023, so far so good, and I'm hoping to keep that streak rolling. So thank you for watching the video. Please let me know your thoughts below if you're working on something or what you've been up to. I'd love to hear it. Again, I make this YouTube channel because I want to connect with fellow creative people in a more personal format than what I get on Instagram. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. With that, happy spring. And I guess if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, does that mean it's fall for you now? Happy fall, y'all. Pumpkin spice latte season, anyone? And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, take care, friends.